Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ivan, and today is September 15. Let's start with some news that, unfortunately for some, is becoming almost routine. Very positive routine. This afternoon, Ukrainian drones reached the city of Ufa, the capital of Bashkortostan, targeting the Novofinsk oil refinery. This refinery isn't the largest in the world. It processes about 7 million tons of oil per year, compared to some global giants exceeding 20 million tons. Not massive, but highly sophisticated. Back in 2012, the refinery underwent a full modernization, installing advanced European and American equipment worth tens, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars. After that, Novofinsk became one of Russia's most modern refineries, comparable to the best in the U.S. and Europe. By 2018, it was producing premium-grade gasolines, including Euro 6, a rare fuel in Russia, made at only 3 refineries nationwide. Then, in 2020, it started producing RT aviation fuel, a top-tier jet fuel for the newest combat aircraft. So, these Ukrainian drones weren't just visiting any refinery. They arrived at a technologically advanced, strategically significant facility. What happened next? The drones performed their reconnaissance run, demonstrating their own sophistication, while the locals, predictably, responded with celebratory gunfire into the sky, almost like at a wedding. And the drones didn't disappoint. They struck the refinery's most critical installations, creating a spectacular display of fire and light. Judging by the intensity and brightness of the explosions, combined with minimal smoke, it's clear that the destroyed facilities processed the highest quality fuels, Euro 6 gasoline and RT aviation fuel. From an environmental perspective, the strike had a surprisingly low emission footprint compared to, say, a tank of diesel or fuel oil burning for hours. For the residents of Ufa, it was an unforgettable show, and there was no ecological disaster. At the same time, the region will now face a shortage of high-grade gasoline, likely prompting higher prices. Perhaps, optimistically, more people might choose to walk or take public transport with some health benefits along the way. For Russian military aviation, the strike is significant. Many aircraft dependent on Ufa's RT fuel will now have limited operations, reducing combat sorties, and correspondingly, the number of bombs dropped. In essence, just 2 Ukrainian drones created a ripple of positive outcomes for civilians, the environment, and military logistics. Beyond the immediate operational impact, the refinery shutdown hits local and federal budgets hard. Reduced revenue from Novofinsk contributes to the broader financial strain on Russia, which, in the current context, is a strategic advantage for Ukraine. Similarly, yesterday, Ukrainian drones targeted the Russian port of Primorsk on the Baltic Sea. 2 oil tankers were damaged, along with a minor shore installation. This effectively halted operations at one of Russia's key oil export hubs. The disruption forces Moscow to scramble for alternative shipping routes, a logistical challenge compounded by recent attacks on the Baltic pipeline system, hitting pumping stations from Smolensk to Novgorod. The cumulative effect is systematic. Ukrainian drones are degrading Russian refining capabilities and disrupting oil logistics, forcing crude oil to remain unsold or unprocessed. This not only diminishes revenues, but also risks long-term operational shutdowns of oil wells due to storage limitations, with expensive and difficult recovery. This pattern shows a highly calculated strategy. Ukraine focuses on crippling the economic backbone of the Russian war machine, while minimizing direct civilian impact. By reducing fuel availability, Ukraine indirectly limits Russian military operations, undermines domestic confidence, and exacerbates regional economic pressures. Currently, Russia is facing shortages in about 20 regions, particularly affecting high distillation fuels like 95-plus octane gasoline. These fuels are produced in limited quantities, making the attack strategically valuable. Price hikes, inflation, and growing public discontent may gradually escalate into social and political instability within Russia. Meanwhile, Russia pursues a different approach, focusing on hybrid operations to destabilize Western alliances. Recent drone flights over Poland, although non-kinetic, serve multiple purposes, testing Polish air defenses, demonstrating Russian drone capabilities, and undermining NATO credibility. Poland's response was largely limited to rhetoric and minimal interception, confirming to Moscow that NATO's Article 5 guarantees may not provoke an immediate forceful response. The Kremlin interprets this as a green light to escalate gradually, first with decoy drones, then potentially more impactful strikes in NATO-adjacent regions, all while avoiding direct U.S. involvement. The underlying logic: demonstrate power, provoke fear, and test boundaries, all without triggering a full-scale conflict with the U.S. What can Western nations do to prevent escalation? Words alone won't deter Moscow. Poland could consider a more creative approach, allowing Ukrainian long-range drones to transit Polish airspace to strike Russian military facilities, such as the strategic electronic warfare complex in Kaliningrad, without direct Polish engagement. This would serve as a calibrated indirect response, signaling to Russia that violations of NATO airspace will have tangible consequences, while formally keeping Poland and NATO out of direct conflict. Such operations would balance deterrence with minimal escalation risk. Meanwhile, Ukraine continues to equip frontline units with drones, including fiber optic and AI-enabled models, enhancing operational precision and battlefield efficiency. Contributions from supporters worldwide directly bolstered these efforts. In summary, Ukraine's drone campaign is demonstrating remarkable effectiveness. Economically, it hits Russia's oil revenues and domestic fuel supplies. Militarily, it limits sortie capacity and operational readiness. Politically, it erodes confidence in both Russian leadership and NATO's ability to respond. Russia's hybrid tactics, aimed at destabilizing Western alliances, reveal both strategic audacity and overconfidence, particularly following the weak NATO response over Poland. Without decisive measures, Moscow may escalate further, testing boundaries with increasingly bold actions. From a broader perspective, the combination of tactical strikes on energy infrastructure and measured geopolitical signaling reflects a sophisticated strategy: neutralize the adversary's war capability while preserving strategic leverage and avoiding full-scale escalation with Western powers. In the meantime, supporting Ukraine's drone program and maintaining strategic deterrence in Eastern Europe remain critical. The ongoing developments underscore the importance of precision, intelligence, and coordination in modern conflict, a vivid example of how technology and strategy intersect in real time. That's all for today. If you found this analysis informative, consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Thank you for watching, and stay informed.